Good morning. Today we're going to start the third section of Chapter 28, which is due on May 4th. I want to backtrack just a little bit on page 732 to look at the tides of the Earth. We did the tides a long time ago with Dr. Wood, and he showed you that diagram right there of the Earth's gravitational pull pulling the water in one direction for the high tides. I just wanted to call your attention to that picture. We're starting then with the satellites of other planets. So, what did we do? Satellite of our planet is our moon. We have a lot of artificial satellites out there. But now we're going to talk about the satellites. And we start on word 28, please. And you can look at Jupiter. There's a picture there of a Galilean moon on Jupiter, Ganymede. So Jupiter, all of these moons were found by Galileo, who proved then that Copernicus was correct. Remember, we started out with the Aristotelian model. It was modified by Ptolemaic models with the epicycle. And then we went to Copernicus. The first two were geocentric. Copernicus made it heliocentric. And then Galileo proved that Copernicus was right. And he also said to the Pope, look at these moons going around Jupiter. But the Pope, for some reason, said, don't teach this. And we know that was wrong. And we talked about that in class once before. But let's go through these routes now. The first one there is Phobos. Phobos, a moon of Mars, made up of an irregular shaped chunk of rock about 27 kilometers across. It's the longest place and 17 kilometers in the shortest. So it's not a perfect circle, you know, or ball. Deimos is a moon of Mars made up of irregularly shaped, again, 15 kilometers across, and it's longest and 15 in the shortest. Now, the reason we have these, they have other smaller moons, but as I said, this textbook is very out of date in terms of the number of moons the planets have, and the number of exoplanets, all that kind of stuff. But everything else is correct. Look at this one here, Galilean moons. Galileo and Mona Month, one of the four largest satellites of Jupiter named by Galileo in order of increasing distance from the planet. So the closest is Io, then Europa, then Ganymede, and then Callisto. And those moons are very important. So moons of Saturn, Mona, Luna, of course, Saturn, goddess of agriculture. Saturn has at least 20 moons. It's probably up to about 30 now. Most are small, icy bodies. The Titan is the largest and more than 5,000 kilometers and has a very thick atmosphere. So the one moon you want to know for Saturn is Titan. The moons you want to know for Galileo are these four: Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. The moons you want to know for Mercury are Phobos and Deimos. All right, you don't have to know any of the other moons. Now, except for the other planets. The moons are Uranus, month, I guess, Luna, feminine moon, and Uranus, personification of the heavens. And Uranus has at least 15, it's probably up to 35, I think. The four largest are Oberon, Titania, Umbriel, and Ariel. And they were known by the mid-1800s. The fifth, Miranda, was found in 1948. And the rest of all the other moons by Voyager probes. So we know that our satellites and our things going out in space have modified all the older textbooks. The moons of Neptune. Neptune has 8 known moons as more. Now don't get Triton mixed up with Titan. Triton is the icy moon and is usually because it travels from east to west opposite all the other moons. Very odd. Triton and it belongs to Neptune. It is 4,800 kilometers in diameter and about 20 times larger than the other moon, Nereid. All right, 2 moons. So don't get Triton mixed up with Titan. And you have another one, Titania. Those are 3 moons beginning with T. Pluto, if we call that a planet, please, that is, Pluto has 1 moon called Charon, which is half the size of Pluto. Now this is very interesting. Charon completes its orbit around Pluto in 6.4 days, the same length as the day of Pluto. Consequently, Charon is always above the same spot. You would say that's a geosynchronous orbit above Pluto. Now, this is the great debate. Is Pluto a planet or is not a planet? But it's certainly not like the gaseous planet whatsoever. It was probably captured. They probably were these asteroids that came together or crashed or something, and the moon of Pluto and Pluto probably should have been one planet, but it isn't. Now, that finishes just those words of the reading section, but to break down so you don't have so many to memorize, we go on to the next words, please. We want to do the ring hypothesis first. So look at ring hypothesis, that is word 35. It is the rings are the remains of larger comets-like bodies that enter the planet's system and is ripped apart by the tidal forces. Now that's a hypothesis of where these rings came from. We now know that the 3 planets have the rings. Originally we just thought Saturn had the rings. Now to save time, we're going to go up to word 39 in this reading section, just so you don't have so many words the following day. And these you know anyway. So we've had asteroids, comets, and meteoroids before. Asteroid, a small rocky object that orbits the sun. Most asteroids are located in the band between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter. You had that before, and we call it the asteroid belt. So that's not a new word. Greek astrostar, oid-like, Middle English belt. The region between Mars and Jupiter in which most asteroids are found. Then you have one of the largest one is the Trojan asteroid, okay? An asteroid that orbits the sun just ahead or behind the planet of Jupiter. And then you have the last word for this that we're adding to this study group is near-Earth grazer, grazing to stare. An asteroid that orbits the sun in the elongated ellipse that may pass close to the Earth and the sun. We have one of those called what? Halley's, right? Halley's Comet. So comet, a small body of rock. This is a word for the next reading section of ice and rock. So I want you to go up to words 39, just so we balance the words so you won't have so many for the next section. I hope you keep reading and answer the questions. If you look in your book, you're supposed to be answering the questions on page 738. Look at the beautiful rings of this giant thing called Saturn, a magnificent picture from our satellite. If you backtrack to page 736, look at all of those moons of Saturn. It's most wonderful. So look at the pictures. The pictures is worth 1,000 words in the old, what we used to say, when I was your age. So have a wonderful day, study hard, and remember we miss you, and I hope you all stay well.